Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Alicia. We are actually not next to our pillows right now. We're actually on the road going to run a half marathon tomorrow, which, by the way, I'm dreading. I just want you to know, babe, I just need to confess to you that I'm dreading this half marathon tomorrow.
So I thought we decided that you would do the 5K instead. Because I don't want you to be too sore.
Well, one thing you got to know is that sometimes when a man is arguing with his woman, he's really arguing with himself. So I'm really battling my internal demons that are telling me that I don't want to run a half marathon, but then I don't want to punk out either. So it's kind of like I'm really in a soul searching mode right now.
Well, okay, so if you don't run the half marathon, you're still a man to me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What's up, everybody? Put your hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1 means we're black first. Any platform I'm on, we're black first. Doesn't mean we hate anybody. We don't hate nobody else, but we are black first. We put ourselves at the top of the priority list. We believe in black wealth, black family, black people doing well and succeeding and doing our best. So if you agree with all those philosophies about us coming together as one, and the B1 philosophy, put a hashtag B in the number one in the chat. And I should also mention that we're actually working on a cryptocurrency right now. I'll tell you guys more about it later, but I'm actually in negotiations with the team to put together a cryptocurrency for the B1 community. So I'll keep you guys posted when that's ready to launch. So anyway, hello Jocasta and Kina and Linus and Michael. So Michael, tell me, everybody, did you hear that LeBron James is now a billionaire? How many of you heard that LeBron James and his wife Sabrina, right? Sabrina's his wife's name. Yeah,
It is.
that he's now a billionaire. And the reason Alicia and I are talking about LeBron and Sabrina is because LeBron actually went out of his way to mention that he feels that his wife was critical to his success, that he couldn't have been successful without Sabrina. And I thought that was really interesting. So, babe, what did you think about, first of all, what did you think about LeBron and Sabrina? What are your thoughts on that couple?
Oh, come on. They represent everything that's wonderful about black families. Don't you think? You see pictures of them and their children and they're doing TikTok dances together and it's just great.
They're on TikTok.
Yeah, I've seen them do TikTok dances. I don't know where. Maybe it's on Instagram or something, but I've seen them do TikTok. It's just the cutest family. They beautiful, beautiful family. They represent everything that we need to promote. Don't you think?
Hmm. Yeah, well, I kind of think I like. Oh, it's Savannah, not Sabrina. Thank you, Jordan. Correct us.
Savannah?
Yes, not
Oh,
Sabrina.
okay.
Yeah, don't be misrepresenting the James family.
Yeah, we got to give respect to this family. We got to get the names right. So, yeah, Savannah and James.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Savannah James. Yeah. So, in case people want to know how LeBron made his money, this is according to Forbes. 300 million of his billion came from basketball. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all knew that LeBron made twice as much money not playing basketball as he did actually playing basketball? Did y'all know that? And that's kind of cool because that's where a wealth builder mentality exceeds kind of the paycheck mentality. Like if you're only thinking in terms of paychecks and how much am I going to get paid, then you don't understand that sometimes you're passing up the real money and the big money. But yeah, did you know that, babe?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder how much he makes in terms of films because I just finished watching on Netflix the Naomi Osaka documentary on Netflix, and it was marvelous. And claps to her, kudos to her because she lit the torch this morning. Oh my gosh, it was really wonderful to see. But anyway, he was executive producer on that project.
Oh,
So
really?
I
So
guess he's doing
LeBron was
films
one of the people that made the Naomi Osaka film.
documentary,
That's cool.
which was wonderful. That'd be another topic to talk about if you
Hmm.
want to talk about it. It was really great to see her and her journey with tennis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Naomi Osaka. Yeah, that poor thing. She's really going through it. It seems like she's really struggling with a lot.
you could tell that she's struggling, but I think she's just finding herself and coming to her own. She seemed to be very thoughtful and very mindful, and she's connected to the struggle of Black people. And it was just great to see. It was great to see her put that struggle into her ability to play tennis, like how what was happening politically and socially that affected her ability to play, and the fact that she was really close friends with
Kobe.
Kobe Bryant, and they kind of had a good relationship. And then of course she was devastated when he died and everything. So it was a really excellent uh, journey to see her go in her ups and downs with tennis and how she internalized all of that. It was really great. And she said that she would put her worth on whether she won a match or she lost a match. And just the fact that she said that means that you're aware of it. And it looked today, she looked strong. Like, we're gonna see a gold medal in her future. Like, it was great. She had that red hair. She had braids, and some of it was red. And then she walked up this big pyramid. Boyce, you missed it. It was a huge pyramid.
I actually saw the video. Remember, I
Oh,
looked up
that's right. I saw
YouTube.
it
YouTube
live.
has everything.
Okay, I saw it live when it was happening, and so she walked up this big pier because we didn't know who was gonna light the torch, who was gonna light the Olympic torch, and they kept it a secret. And then, like right at the end, you saw her face, and they gave her the light, and she walked on up, and she walked up this big pyramid. I mean, that's the symbolism there is tremendous. She walked right on up, and she lit that torch and turned around doing it. Yes,
Okay, shout
it
out
was
to
great
Naomi
to
Osaka.
see.
Shout out to Naomi Osaka. Now,
Anyway.
now with LeBron and Savannah, one of the things that I saw that there was a lot of discussion about, you know, what role Savannah played in LeBron's success. There were, LeBron says that he wouldn't be who he was without his wife. And how many of y'all agree with that statement? First of all, give me a yes if you agree, no if you disagree. How many of you feel that even if LeBron didn't have Savannah, that he would still be as successful? He'd be as rich. He'd be, scandal free. He'd be, making movies and doing well and have healthy children. How many of y'all think that without Savannah, he wouldn't be there? So how many of y'all agree with that statement that he wouldn't be who he is without Savannah? So yes, if you think that he wouldn't be who he was without Savannah. No, if you think that's a bunch of BS. That's just not true. All right. So I see some yeses. Patricia says absolutely yes. Angela says yes. Everett says nope. And I wonder.
I want Everett to expand upon that. Like, what does he mean by that?
Well, you know what it is. I bet the response is kind of going along gender lines, right? Like I can see some men kind of saying, well, she wasn't there when he was in the gym, when he was shooting
She
jumpers.
was there. They were together.
Yeah, but she was there, but she wasn't shooting the jumpers. She wasn't actually dribbling down the court. She wasn't actually scoring the points.
The thing I would like to see what married men say. If married men would say that, like, I would like for people to identify if they're married or not. Because I think if a married man would be able to say, yeah, I was able to go out and play basketball and not have to worry about if the children are taken care of, if everything is solid in the house. If it gave him some sort of a drive to do better and to be better and to set a good example for his kids and all of that, if that had to do with not just Savannah, not just Savannah, but also just because he had children as well, to set a good example. And where does the kids come from? Comes from her.
Well, I mean, that
comes from both of them, but
Well, I think the first thing is, I think in general, you have to always give appreciation to the person who carried your child for 9 months. Like men, we can't do that. I know that Mark Lamont Hill thinks men can have babies, but I don't agree with that statement. And so I think that's where it kind of starts, right? Like you have to have a baseline of respect for that. And then if you assume that you're talking about a drama-free spouse who or relatively drama-free, I don't know if there is such a thing as a drama-free spouse. Relatively drama-free means that, you could be traveling the world, playing basketball, doing interviews, going to meetings, and you know that your children are being raised properly in your house, right? And doing that as a husband and a wife, as opposed to knowing your baby's mamas are holding it down for you. That's a whole different type of reality, right? Because you got guys like that. You got guys that'll say, "I want to give a shout out to all my baby's mamas, all my kids' moms, for holding it down," and it's okay. I mean, the joke is they call it ghetto polygamy. Where you got 5 kids with 5 mamas, and you're like, my baby's moms are all really cool and whatever. But I think the shortcoming of that though is that when you're not really in the house with your child every day, they don't really get a chance to get to know you, the way they would if they're seeing you once every 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That makes sense. And what would you say, Boyce? Do you think, like, how? I think that you've always talked about how we have benefited from each other's company in a way? Like, do you think that in some sort, like, I wouldn't say that I am the person who's responsible for your success. I wouldn't say all that, but would you say that there's a different sort of feel that you've experienced since we've been together? I mean, be serious.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and people in the chat, you can say something if you agree, but people, I notice, like, I pay attention to what other intelligent black people are saying. Like, people in the B1 family, people outside the B1 family, I don't really, honestly, I don't listen to them because they might be trolls or just ignorant people. But the B1 family, like, I watch what they say, and I notice that a lot of people, they appreciated the evolution. They saw me lose weight when I got with you and we started running. They saw that transformation. They saw they were there through my 6-month dental procedure where I kind of got the teeth situation kind of fixed. They saw me. They were there for the wedding. They saw the evolution that occurred. As a result. So in a way, I think some people were happy to kind of see me doing more grown man stuff because you know it's fun to kind of just run wild and do whatever you want, but there's like a type of respect you get when people know that you're like the CEO, you're the head of a family, like you're the head of an institution. It means that you have some accountability for one of the pillars that holds our community up. Like the families are the pillars, like the black community is like a building, and every family to me is a pillar. And when the man is not there, the pillar does not stand as strong or as tall as it does when you've got fathers, with their wives, with children. It's just something there that provides a type of comfort and security. So yeah, I personally think it was an appropriate evolution. And truth is, here's another confession about that. Um, I didn't do that until I got into my 40s, partly because the black community has so many struggles with so many children growing up without a father that the women that I did end up dating when I was younger, most of them did not have a dad. So a lot of them didn't have the basic tools to understand what to even do with a husband, to how to even be a good spouse. Like I really think being a good husband or a good wife, you got to get trained by a good husband or a good wife. I think that's probably the best piece of advice I give anybody listening. Like if you ever decide you want to be a wife, get some wife skills from a real woman that's going to be honest with you and tell you every single thing that goes into being a good wife, even down to the bedroom, to how you engage with his friends, how you can interpret his behavior, you know, because if you grew up without a man in the house, I think you don't quite know how to process what we do, and I think the same thing is true for boys who didn't have that parent. And so I would have done it sooner. Like I think with LeBron and Sabrina, what's lucky for them is that they seem to have figured it out. And in my 20s, I hadn't figured it out. I was like, I don't know how I can be an entrepreneur and have a wife. But there are people that do it. I think you just have to have the right kind of wife. I just didn't know how to pick that when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, and I don't want people to get the message that if they grew up in a household without a certain parent, that it's over for them. You ain't never gonna get married.
No, it's not over.
That's
It's certainly
right.
not. No. I wasn't
That's
saying
it.
it's over. No. I was saying that
You're
I
not
was
de-
no. I never said we never said it was over. I want to make that
Okay,
clear.
just wanna
I
make
was
sure.
saying that you have to acknowledge that maybe there's a skill set
Mhm.
that you got to kind of pick up on. It's like if I've only taken math class my whole life and I never took English class, then someone would say, well, if you take a class, you can get better at grammar. But don't assume that not taking the class is the same as taking the class. And when you watch your parents work through 30, 40 years of marriage, that really is like taking a class.
Yeah, I would have to say, I think my mom keeps me pretty grounded. I try to keep you grounded, Boyce.
I love your mama, by the way. Shout out to Nana if she's watching. Thank you, Nana. You have saved us on many, many a difficult occasion. I'll be like, Alicia, call your mama so she can talk some sense into your crazy butt. But go ahead.
Oh my goodness, no, you didn't just say that.
Yes. Yes.
Hilarious.
Love
Yeah, but
Nana.
what? But Nana did write you a letter.
She did. She checked me too. She did check me one time. Now, isn't it funny how grandmas will do that? Grandmas will go write a letter, like a real stern letter. Like you could tell they were pressing the pencil down real hard when they wrote the words.
That is so funny. So my mom wrote everybody in the house a letter telling them about themselves. But yeah, so we have a big mama in our family, and the big mama I love it because she makes things right. She's like she's like the Judge Judy of the family. Like, that's wrong, that's right, don't do that. And chances are she's pretty much on target with a lot of her advice.
Well, and I think and I think too though we got to also always remember the important role that the men play as well.
Yeah.
And I know that in my on my father's side of the family, we had the grandmother and the grandfather, which was different from my mother's side, where we had the grandmother without the grandfather, and it kind of just had a different dynamic and a different feel. It didn't mean one was better than the other, but overall I agree. I think anybody who's trying to make relationship stuff work, you kind of need that older person that's a little more patient, that's seen some things.
Oh, they got the wisdom. They've been there. This ain't their first ride at the rodeo. They've been on the rodeo. They have that wisdom and expertise. They've been there and done all of that. And they got the scars to prove it. And so you want to respect that. You want to have as much respect for their experience. And it's great to have their guidance. And I think the sad part is families that don't have that. Families do not have that. And so it's funny because sometimes I feel like some of my clients that I see in the past and even now, it's just like they don't have a big mama. And I feel like, if they had like a big mama to talk to, or like someone that they could really like lean on, they would have they would be able to figure things out, I think, a little easier.
Well, what's really dysfunctional, or just so crazy to me is, because you've lost the big mama or you don't have the grandparents, you have these interesting substitutes like Tyler Perry. The one time I talked to Tyler Perry in 2014, and he called me. Mostly all these celebrities called me. I never called them, but Tyler Perry had called, and we talked. We talked one time, and just like I talked to Kanye West one time. And anyway, when we did have that one conversation, I got this feeling that Tyler Perry believes that Medea is the replacement for the big mama. Like, one thing that he did say was, he said a lot of black people have trauma and they won't go get therapy. So Medea is the one who, steps in to kind of give them that help that they won't seek otherwise. And he does it through comedy. So on one hand, that's kind of noble. But on the other hand, it kind of makes you wonder, are there better ways to get what you want other than watching a Tyler Perry movie?
Yeah, Tyler Perry. Well, he has to be Medea, and people love it. And I would agree with some of that. Like, even though he's kind of funny and his stories are a little outrageous, like at the end, there's like a real sweet moment, especially in his stage plays, where Medea would sit down and have like the real conversation. The real point to the whole stage play is right there in that conversation. So I give him a hard time, Tyler Perry, because his movies, I just can't sit through them very much. But he, for people who like him and who like that kind of stuff, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, and also the role of the Big Mama was shown in the movie Soul Food. If you remember Soul Food, when Big Mama died, the whole family fell apart.
Because of the soul food.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Right. The soul food kept the family together, but the Big Mama died from the soul food, right? Yeah. But you know what? I kind of think though that in general, I think the rule is, if you're talking about, whether you're talking about LeBron and Sabrina or anybody, it seems like relationships have pressures, and to solve those problems, you need help. Right? Like, if you try to solve it all yourself, you're going to get it wrong because you're too emotional. Maybe you're too close to the issue, or you haven't had the experience. And what I've noticed as well is that people that haven't had a lot of long-term relationships with other people, or seen long-term relationships, they tend to think things are the end of the world. Like, the first 6 months, you have a big fight and you're thinking, oh, we're going to get a divorce now. I can't do this anymore. Whereas somebody who's really kind of gone through it is sort of chill. They're like, you know what? It's going to take time, and it'll be fine. Tomorrow we'll just get up and eat breakfast, and we'll make it better and move on, and that's it. But by the way, somebody, Luckett says Boyce never speaks about his father. I speak about my father.
Boyce speaks about his daddy all the time. We love Papa Larry.
People don't be listening. You don't listen. He ain't B1. You ain't B1. I talk about my daddy all the time. I love my daddy.
So I'm just curious, what else did LeBron say in that article?
You know what? We got to Google it because I haven't.
It?
Yeah,
Okay,
Google it and read the whole thing because I just saw where he gave his wife credit, and said I wouldn't be where I am without my wife. And by the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, if everybody could hit the thumbs up button, share the video, subscribe, all that stuff. This is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Alicia. We do this almost every day, actually, where we just sit back and just talk shit about all different kinds of things that are happening because it's just fun. And also, Alicia, if you want to follow her on Instagram, it's Coaching with Dr. Alicia. That's also her website. She's a couples counselor and works with a lot of couples. So feel free to take a look at coachingwithdralicia.com. She's good at what she does. She's a full professor of social work and a licensed therapist and all that good stuff. But
I got the article.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he says we've been down since high school. He said, I listened to a lot of rap music, and a good friend of mine said, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Okay, but in all actuality, Savannah was with me shooting in the gym when I had absolutely nothing. So she was there, okay? He said, while some saw James's comment as a sly jab at Kobe Bryant and his wife, Vanessa. Whoa, I don't know about that. See how people just be adding stuff in
Yeah, that wasn't a jab. How's that a jab at Kobe?
What is that? That doesn't make sense. Wait, when was this article?
Who wrote
this was old. This is from 2018.
Oh, really? So where'd
you get this article from?
I don't know. I didn't get it. You got it. You Googled it.
I didn't get it. It's the same thing. So I don't know if it was. Well,
2018 wasn't that long ago.
Well, it was a couple years ago. Okay, he said.
That's right, because Kobe wasn't dead yet. So.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, why is he up? Okay, she was there with me, he added. You wouldn't be talking to me right now if it weren't for her. Okay, on and on. He first dipped his toe in the TV waters back in 2014 with the Star Series Survivor's Remorse. That's interesting. So they're talking about some of the other stuff that he's done. That's it with the article. Okay. With my heavy hitter, aka the Queen, post game last night. So he refers to her as the Queen on social media. Let's see, what else? That's about it in the article.
Okay.
There's really nothing else.
Well, you know what I think about. Well, let's talk about that part about you wasn't with me when I was shooting jumpers in the gym and stuff like that. I think that what I think LeBron gained from Sabrina is, when you are LeBron James, everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody is trying to get next to you, right? Like that's literally a lifetime achievement for some people to say, I'm LeBron James's friend and I have his phone number or whatever, right? And the danger of that is that, you're dealing with a lot of people out here that are just not mentally healthy. Some of them are just flat out snakes. They're seeking to exploit, or maybe they see you as their big opportunity. Like my big come up is that I just met this person who has millions of dollars, and that finally will be the answer to my dreams. Like if he gets me pregnant, or if I get him to sign on to my business deal. A lot of ambitious people. Like when you're surrounded by people that are ambitious, male and female, it creates a lot of complications because it's hard to just be their friend. It's hard to just, most people, if you broke and your friends broke, then y'all just chilling, But if you got 100 million in the bank and your friends broke, your friend's gonna be like, how do I get a piece of that 100 million? And that's something, and I understand that. I'm not a billionaire, but my net worth is on the internet, and people have recently been repeating it over and over and over again online.
Really? And so everyone knows your net worth?
Well, they don't have the exact number, but they actually weren't. I mean, I don't know where they get the information, but I didn't even know I was important enough that they would put me on Celebrity Net Worth. I swear to God. But yeah, but like what that does is it makes it hard to have regular conversations with broke people because because what happens is the flow of the discussion gets messed up because they start telling you about their financial problems.
Oh, because it's coming, Boyce. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can I have some money? And
right.
Oh my God.
It's like, can I come and do some work for you? Can I, and what it does is it makes it hard to do things regular people do. Like regular people say stuff like, oh, all right, if you need anything, just let me know, man. Let me know. And we know that that's just like a friendly thing to say, right? But what if you really have something that they need? And then they're like, oh, well, you said if I need anything to let you know. And then next thing you know, you're in this awkward position where 50 people are asking you for money. And that means like, okay, I guess our friendship isn't going to last because because now you've kind of leveraged our whole relationship on whether or not I can send you $1,000.
Yeah, and then if they call you and they coming at you, you dodging them because you're like, oh God,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to tell all these people.
Yeah, like I don't know how LeBron feels. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I know that I get to a point sometimes where I don't even want to talk to anyone on the phone.
It's true.
The only people I want to talk to are the people that really truly have cared about me my whole life, or people that I know they got what they need, so they're not gonna ask me. It's a lot of pressure because you can help 47 people, but if you don't help all 50 of them, the last 3 are gonna call you a son of a bitch. They're gonna say terrible. You know, it's very uncomfortable.
My question is, why would someone, I'm not talking about you in particular, like why somebody would really be so concerned about what those last 3 think of you? And if they think of you in a certain way, just because you didn't give them money, it's just like, be gone.
Oh yeah. Well, you get tough skin. I mean, eventually you're like, well, if we're not cool anymore because I won't write you a check, then, then I don't care. Then good luck to you, But what can occur though is that, and this is why I tell men to be very careful, is that people can then go and use your name to draw attention to themselves and say this person screwed me. Like I can name specific people maybe that have gone on the internet and said, Dr. Boyce is a fraud. He's a terrible person. He's a blah blah blah. And I know for a fact that a couple of these people were mad because they wanted money from me, and I said, "Get out of my face!" Like, no, I'm not. No, you can go say whatever you want. So then what happens is it ends up becoming this thing where it's an uncomfortable process where people that don't know the truth are just hearing somebody screaming and hollering your name constantly, and and you know what it was, and so ultimately, if you so what you do. So here's what you do. Let me just now. Right, I'm sorry. So here's what you do. You start looking at people's energy and their character from a distance, and if you see anything that's predatory about that person, you never talk to them again. You immediately evacuate the building the minute you see one warning sign that the person might be a little bit off.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that, like, sometimes when you get into those situations, like, I'm a little bit in your ear, like, okay, be careful of that person because I'm watching too, and so there have been many times where I think you've dodged a lot of things just because I'm really good at reading people. I think I am.
And you know what? And there have been times where you told me to dodge.
And you were like, forget you, Alicia. You don't know what you're talking about.
I totally didn't listen.
Like, I told you he was going to do that. I told you she was going to do that.
You know what? I got to give a complete shout out to you on that because there are people where if I said their names right now, people would know exactly who I'm talking about. Where you warned me, you said, Boyce, he don't look right. Something ain't right. Or that lady, you be careful with that lady. And here I am trying to be Mr. Nice and down to earth. Like, okay, well, I don't want to be a snob and I don't want to write them off just because of blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, all that crazy starts pouring out and you're looking at me like, I told you so. And I have to humble myself to that, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why I respect a Sabrina is because people don't understand. Savannah, I'm sorry, I can't see. That's disrespectful. She looks like a Sabrina.
She does look like a Sabrina.
She looks like a Sabrina, but she's a Savannah. We need to call her Savannah so that's my bad. But I respect a Savannah because people don't understand that woman that's next to you or that partner that's next to you, because men do this sometimes if they're in a relationship with a famous person or woman as well, right? That partner next to you has been to war with you. Like they have seen you when you're under attack. They have seen you when you're under stress. They have seen you endure the types of things that a lot of people can only imagine. And when you see that, so that person picks up special skills. Like they can cope with certain things at a very high level because they sat right next to you as the whole world was throwing darts at your head, and you appreciate that person. So I think that's why I look at a Savannah. Like, let's say, for example, if you're a single man and you are, and you meet a woman that you're thinking about dating, let's say that she's a Savannah. Let's say she's a Savannah where she got a divorce from her husband, but you know that she used to be married to a LeBron. Women like that tend to just be built different. Like you kind of know she's gonna have a certain degree of sophistication, a certain degree of savvy, almost like bringing an executive into your company. I always say that the family is almost like a business. The family is an institution. So when you're marrying or dating a woman like that who's been battle tested, they just kind of understand things that, you know, a little girl might not get. A little girl, some cute little thing or whatever might just be like, oh my God, I'm dating this famous guy. This is so great. Whereas a Savannah has already been there, done that. So she already kind of knows what to look out for and how to handle certain situations, how to sit down with certain important people, how to, you know, what it looks like to have $80 million in the bank, you know, certain things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you know, there's a lot of Savannahs out there. So it's
Yes.
not just LeBron in Savannah. There are other LeBron in Savannahs. Don't you see them in the media? I'm trying to think of some other who are some other people that would be.
Well, I know you like Steph Curry's wife.
Yes, Aisha Curry. I love her cookbook and the fact that she had that cooking show. I watched that cooking show. She is marvelous. She's marvelous. So I do like them. There are a lot of basketball wives who are doing like wonderful things and keeping up a really good image.
Well, not all the. Well, you just use the term basketball wives. That's kind of a loaded term. When I hear basketball wives, I'm thinking about those crazy, ridiculous women on those TV shows.
Yeah, well, those are produced, and everybody knows that. But they, if you look at them, like they would never be on that show.
You know what? And women like that, they're all, while they were also married to basketball players, they're not in the same category in my view as a Savannah. Oh, they're not like I can't see a Savannah on Basketball Wives acting the way those women on Basketball Wives behave, and I think that's the other danger if you're a LeBron is, you know, women like that are going to be chasing you down, and they're real calculated with their shit. Like they hunt men for a living, and you look at like Evelyn Lozada. I mean, she ran through Antoine Walker. That poor guy. When she got done with him, he didn't have a nickel in the bank, and then she went on to the next one. I think she got pregnant by the guy that played for the Dodgers or whatever.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking about Sierra and Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like those two.
I mean, just look how great they are together too. So, I mean, we have a lot of examples of families getting together doing it, like really putting together. And I mean, it seems real genuine. It doesn't seem like it's just for the cameras. Like sometimes you can tell, like they really love each other. And he talks about, Russell Wilson says, I don't know where I would be without Sierra. He said my biggest fear in life was to lose her. You know, just that whole public announcement where Russell Wilson and LeBron James and individuals like that who just confess their love for their wives publicly like that. I think it's a great trend. We need to keep this going.
Well, it's a higher vibrational frequency. It's almost like a spiritual thing, because you think about this. These are men who have had everything offered to them. They've had the whole world offered. They could, you know, like Russell Wilson could live. You know, you compare him to Future, right? Because Future was Sierra's her man before Russell, I guess, and you know, and they could live like Future. Like they could be in the strip club, they could be getting high, they could be, you know, getting with random women or whatever. But they've kind of got to a level where they become men. They went from being little boys to men. Because little boys, though, children, that's what children do. Children are, you know, can be gluttonous. They want to engage in pleasure-seeking behavior. Like they'll eat ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if they could. You know, and there's a point where the child becomes an adult, and the adult says, "Yeah, I could eat ice cream every day, but that's not going to be good for me. Like that's going to kill me." You know,
I'm even thinking about Jay-Z and Beyonce too. I mean, some of the things Jay-Z has said recently about Beyonce, and you can tell that they've grown closer together over the years. It just feels they feel more comfortable with each other right now.
Well, they're kind of like they're becoming like an institution, kind of like Ruby D and Ozzy Davis.
Yes.
And, you know, and I admire couples like that because they, you know, because at some point you become one of the many institutions. You become one of the pillars in the community. So young people are looking to you almost the way you look at the, you know, at a local business. You know, like oh, we all go down to the community center on Saturday afternoons, or we all go to, you know, that department store. We all eat at that restaurant. You know, so your family becomes kind of this institution that a lot of people lean on, you know, and for guidance. And I think that that's something that I see Beyonce and Jay-Z becoming. You know, even though I'm sure they have all kinds of chaos and drama and everything else, but you saw those two really built something pretty powerful together, and they did things together that they couldn't do individually.
Yeah, so the sum is greater than the parts that make up the sum. And it's great to see through the years. I mean, as you were talking, I was just thinking in my mind, like these three couples that we're talking about, I was just thinking about how they have made each other better. Like you can see they make each other better in what they're doing, and not to just because you have a past, just because you dated Future at one point. I mean, allow everybody to evolve. I remember Russell Wilson used to date blondes. Remember
Oh,
that?
really? He dated
I
blinds?
did not
Really?
like
Oh,
him. I
that's
was like,
funny.
I don't like. But you know what? He didn't win that Super Bowl till he started dating Sierra. That's what happens when black men and women get together. Wonderful things happen. You become more successful than you ever could be apart. And that's why I do not like individuals like Kevin Samuels, who
Well,
his whole
don't say you
platform.
don't like Kevin
Not. I
Samuels.
mean,
You don't like his platform.
that's the whole thing.
We don't hate Kevin Samuels. I want to
Let me
make that
finish
clear.
what I wanted to say. It is not him personally. It's what his platform and what it represents. It doesn't represent the coming together of a Russell Simmons and a Sierra. It represents tearing apart of a Future and whoever. You know, it's just like if you're going to hit it and quit it, and that's all that you're interested in, it seems like his platform would be the one for you. But that does not bring together success. It doesn't. You're not going to be a better person because you've listened to what he has to say. And yes, I have listened to what he's had to say. I don't disagree with all of it, but I really want to put that out there because we need to have something to can counterbalance a lot of the noise. And to me, it's just noise to me. It does not, you cannot bring together the unions of the people that we were just talking about right now.
Well, what I do think it does is there's different ways to think about relationships. There's the selfish way, right? The almost the way you think about extreme feminists, for example. Extreme feminists could be guilty of this, or men who are immature can be guilty of this. If you think about relationships in a selfish way, uh, what that means is that anything that you don't like, you avoid. Anything that is a challenge, you walk away from it. You get what you can, you take what you can, and that's it, right? So the first thing men we want to take typically is we like the sex, the easy sex, stuff like that. And I don't knock that. I mean, maybe when I was younger, that I could understand that very clearly, but then you have another approach to relationships, which is one that's built on compromise and community, and kind of knowing that the group matters more than the individual, and that's what you see around the world when you see communities that are really thriving. And like you can't oppress the Chinese community, and the reason you can't oppress them is because they have strong families, and they understand that marriage matters and that the group is more important than the collective. Now they have rules, they have structure, they have authority laid out there, but at the same time, you have security, you have order and security. And so so I to your point, I think that anybody who approaches relationships with kind of this idea that it's all about me and my comfort and my pleasure and that's it, I think they're kind of missing the point, because um, even things like investing involves a sacrifice. So your family is an investment. When I spend time with the kids, it's not just me wasting time. It's actually me putting energy into something that's going to benefit me later on down the road. So people who think in terms of instant gratification all the time, those people end up depleted. That's why you see a lot of these rappers dying young, because they live the fast life for 30 years and they have nothing to show for it, because they've literally blown all their money. They put themselves in unhealthy situations. They ruin their bodies because they were living for the moment, living for pleasure.
Okay, because I was gonna have you like say a little more about living just for my own happiness and my pleasure, because I don't think that those sort of quick fix um, moments that you can have, it's a cheap fix. And I think individuals who live their life like that, deep down inside, they're very empty people and they're very sad people. And when I see people who who adhere to that sort of thinking, those individuals aren't the happiest people anyway. They cling on to these addictions, let's just call it addictions, or unhealthy lifestyles to compensate because they're not happy anyway. And so I would venture to say sometimes it's a long vision that you need to have, because getting married and being in a long-term relationship, it's difficult. It stretches you and you're going to grow in a way. Some things are going to be uncomfortable, but in the end, you're going to have somebody like the Brooks who we interviewed. They had tough ups and downs and everything, but they loved each other. Like, they really had that funness and that greatness with each other. That was the glue that kept that marriage together.
Okay, so the Brooks were
Yeah, explain that for me.
that was the couple that was interviewed. in the movie that we made recently called Till Death Do Us Part. And by the way, you can go to blackmovienight.net and you can actually watch the rest of the film with us every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. We broke it into 6 pieces. And what we did was we found 6 black couples that have been married over 30 years. And they told their story. So each segment of the film is a feature on that couple. So we do it every Thursday night. So you can register at blackmovienight.net if you want to watch the next one. And it's totally free. We're not charging anything for the movie. We just want everybody to kind of see what that looks like. And you know what I think about when I think about the Brooks and couples that were able to really stick it out and be solid. I see it as an investment in the children. I kind of don't like personally this idea that people um, think that staying together for the children is always automatically a definite no. I'm not that in that category. Don't get me wrong. If somebody's putting a gun to your head and beating your ass and trying to kill you or doing absolutely horrible things to you,
and psychological and emotional abuse
right? Well,
is
that's
also pretty
and
bad.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. But I think that there's a
Physical is
I do agree. But I think that there is also a an arbitrary way of viewing what defines psychological abuse. Like I've seen people claim they were psychologically abused when they were just mad because the person didn't give them what they want. Like, well, you're abusive. Like, it's easy to call a man abusive. Everybody calls it. Oh, I survived an abusive relationship. When you hear a woman say that, you never ask her like, so exactly what happened? Like, exactly what made this man abusive? Because there's a lot of good men who get falsely accused of being abusive because they were dating a brat who wanted everything her way.
well,
And
then she was abusive,
right. So
but if you're the one partner who's constantly compromising and the other person is not willing to compromise and just steps all over your feelings and torture, calls you names, calls you out of your name and things like that, that's abusive.
well,
Let's just get in. We don't want to get into the minute details of defining abuse. Let's just say abuse. Give it a big label, abuse.
Right. So let me just say
Mm-hmm.
this. I can say this. I had a relationship with a person years ago where 80-90% of the time it was fine. 80-90% of the time we got along fine. But there was that last 10% that really bothered me. Meaning, like one thing, for example, she did that really bothered me was she never apologized ever. Right. I think that's a sign of narcissism. Like literally, I can't think of a single time she ever apologized. And I was like, how the hell you're never wrong? Like, you really in your mind believe that you have never ever been wrong? Well, that's a bunch of BS, right? And so eventually, obviously, I moved on. I knew that she wasn't the one. We didn't have a terrible relationship. She moved on, I moved on, and everybody was fine. But here's the thing that's interesting, right? And this is what I'll tell you the truth. If I had been married to her and had children with her, I would have stayed with her. I would have tried to get therapy. I would have tried to get help internally. But I would have said, you know what? I got my kids in this house. I'm not leaving this house with my kids in it. Period. I'm not. My kids are up in this house. I'm not leaving. No, I don't know. And short of somebody trying to kill each other, this is my house with my children. I'm not going to visit my kids from down the street. That is not going to happen.
And so the thing is that I think that's beautiful. I think that to try to do whatever you can to try to work that out with her, I think is marvelous. Yeah. And for the sake of the children, I think it is a definite decision that you really do need to go around. You need to do whatever you can to make sure that you can work it out. And even when you're at your wit's end, you need to go around again, go around the block again, and really, really work on that. And it would be, I think that even though you didn't marry this particular person, I mean, I would have loved for you to have married her. Well, I'm glad you didn't, because you would.
Oh, you know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. And like, I wonder if you had really committed yourself a little more to that relationship for whatever reason you didn't. And I think I know why, but anyway, for whatever reason you didn't, if you had learned to commit yourself a little more, maybe you all would have worked it out.
Well, you know what? I didn't want to marry her because she wasn't the one.
Okay.
It's like the Olympics.
Okay, so that's it. Make sure you marry the one.
Right. I compare. Right. You were the one. That's why I married you. It wasn't that she was terrible. And that's what I think is so funny is that, sometimes women will be like, well, what was wrong with me? Why didn't he marry me? Something was wrong with me. And it's like, no, sometimes you did everything right. You did the absolute best you could do, but you weren't the one. Like, now if we lived in a society where you could marry 5 people, then, you might have been one of the ones, right? You could have been one of the group, right? But no, it ain't. It's like winning the Olympic gold medal in the Olympics in the 100-meter dash. You've got Trayvon Bromell, the fastest man on earth, racing against the guy who went to my high school by the name of what's his oh gosh, his name is not in my head and I lost it. Anyway, uh, Ronnie Baker. So Ronnie Baker is going to race Trayvon Bromell for the 100-meter dash. Both of these guys are fast as hell. Neither one of them is slow. Neither one of them is fat or lazy. They probably both have 0% body fat, but only one of them can win. Only one guy will get that gold medal, and that's
I got the gold medal, boys.
You got the damn gold medal.
What's up?
You got the gold medal, and that's what. And it ain't. It's so that's the thing. It's not like there are not other great women that came along. It's that you can pick one, and you pick the one that you want, and that's it. And that's hard to do. That's really hard to do. But anyway.
Well, it shouldn't have been hard to do, Boyce. What you talking about?
Well, it was hard. It's hard for me. It was really hard. I ain't gonna lie.
Hard?
Yeah, because there was a benefit to freedom. Like I really enjoyed, the part of my life where I could do whatever I wanted, and I guess it makes a difference if the guy has options. Just
everybody has options.
No, not everybody.
You don't think some people have no options at all?
Some people have.
How many people live on this earth?
There are lots of people.
Billions of people.
The broke dude doesn't have as many options as the guy the guy who could fly you to Hawaii tomorrow usually has more options than the guy who can barely take you to Burger King. That's just the reality.
I'm pushing back on that, Boyce.
Well, you can push back, but that don't make it untrue.
Ooh. Anyway, I'm pushing back on that because I have seen people who can't fly to Hawaii in a moment's notice, and they find love, and they get married, and they are straight up happy, and both of them are building together and doing wonderful things together, and it does not take the actual numbers in your bank account is not going to dictate whether you're going to be happy or not.
Oh, I didn't say be happy and be married and all that. I'm talking about having whatever you want in life. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not one to ever say that a broke person can't get married. That would be silly. Okay, I'm saying here's what I'm saying. I need you to listen to me. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. Okay. A man who has a lot of money is usually going to have more options than a man who has no money. Everything else equal. It doesn't mean that the broke man can't get a piece of ass. It doesn't mean that he can't find happiness and love. It doesn't mean he can't get a lot of good things. But take that same man and put $1 million in his bank account versus having that man with no money in his bank account. His options will change based on that.
Okay, that I agree with, but I heard you say, because I was listening very carefully, I heard you say some people have no options.
No, I wouldn't say no options. I would say that there are some people that have to work a little harder than others. There's some people, well, not everybody. Everybody don't have to work hard. I mean, how hard you work really comes down to how much you value what you're working for. Like, I know this. I've known guys where for one woman they'll work extremely hard, and for some other woman they won't work at all.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm one of those guys. I mean, I've had times where I was like, no, I don't feel like doing the work because I don't value whatever it is that you're offering me. It's not of interest to me, right?
Well, let me tell you, I really want to say that I appreciate you, Boyce, because you actually do the work in this marriage.
Well, it takes work. It's not easy. It required a new skill set. I'm not gonna lie. It was a transition, but I was ready for it. And a lot of people understood it. Some people didn't, and I get that. But it's like it's also where you are in life. I think that some people they think I'm a 25-year-old. It's like, no, I'm a 50-year-old man, and I was trying to figure out I want to do things that are going to help me transition into that next stage of life in a way that is going to be conducive to developing the structure and the legacy that I want to have. And I knew that running around with a bunch of random women till I was 70 years old is not the way I wanted to go out. I want to go out as a guy who dies where my whole family is around my bed. I want to die where there are people at my funeral who are saying great things about me, how I impacted their lives and made their lives better. I want to have children that I can call where, I can say, hey, I need your backup, and they're going to show up for me because I showed up for them when they were young. So it's really everything I did in terms of my personal life was driven by the same mentality I had that allowed me to build wealth as an investor. You plant seeds. You got to plant seeds. And if you plant seeds, then you'll get a harvest. And so when you see people, like when I saw DMX die, I saw a guy who didn't have a lot of money. His physical health was pretty bad. His children didn't seem to have a lot of appreciation for him. Even the woman that stood by his side all those years has no access to his wealth, so she gets no financial return on all the heartaches she probably went through. And I saw a guy who didn't, in my view, plant the seeds in a way that I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen him plant seeds to say, you know what, I got to find a way to get off this crack addiction because I got to be there to watch my grandkids grow up. I got to find a way to evolve. Like, I got to go sit down with therapists and rehab. I mean, when you're rich and famous, people will go to all ends of the earth to give you every opportunity to improve your life. So at that point, it's a personal choice. Do I want to go through the pain and discomfort of evolving, or do I want to continue with the free, easy lifestyle? And the thing is that we encourage the free, easy lifestyle. We killed the DMXs of the world because we cheer you on when you're out here doing things that we know are going to lead to your early death. Even that rapper, Juice World, they were somebody shared that I felt so bad when that poor kid died because a rapper dies every week. I mean, it's crazy. It's really a death culture. But when that kid Juice World died, I didn't know this, but I thought that he just died just out of the blue or from an OD. But then I saw where they said that he took a bunch of pills because he was trying to hide them from the cops.
Yeah, because I think he was taking a private jet here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they were, and I hate that. They were probably targeting him, some rapper in this jet, and they probably were like, "Oh, we're gonna." I think they were just going to check everything. And
well, they said the pilot called the cops because he found guns and 70 pounds of weed and stuff like that.
I mean, see, that's just foul because I'm certain there are a lot of white people who take private jets with a whole lot of cocaine and all that other stuff on there.
True.
And it's just, it goes with how it goes. But anyway, he's a rapper and probably getting on people's nerves. But I did, that's a tough one to hear, because he was so young and he was talented. I've listened to his music; it's really good. Juice WRLD,
yeah,
it's pretty good. So
yeah, it was sad. I hate seeing these people die young because they don't have older people in our age group who are willing to tell them the truth. They have older people, my 50-year-olds trying to be cool and trying to fit in. So they're just overlooking things. Like, think about it. Look at how much I end up in the crossfire when I start really telling the truth. And I really think that we as older people owe it to them to kind of say, no, this is how this works out. This is how this plays out. And I don't care about, what you say about that. You can call me a hater all day because I'm not one of your little friends. I'm a mentor.
Yeah, well, it's not being a mentor like that is not a popularity contest. Like, you're not in it so that you can be liked by everybody. You speak your truth.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, anyway, you want to read a couple comments? And,
okay, some comments. Okay.
So only sensible questions will get a response.
Sensible questions. Okay. All right. Let's see. I can't see any comments that are good. There's a lot of good.
Don't say the comments. All the comments are good.
No, I'm talking about like a question that would be a good question is what I'm asking.
Statement. Just read them.
Okay, someone says money shouldn't be the primary reason why you should get married. The focus should be on building your economic empire together. Thank you, Brian Payton. Yes.
I read for Brian. Woo,
yes.
Brian.
Okay, let's see. Are there any more? Okay. Ty Malone says, I have been married for 24 years. I'm 45 with 4 kids. All right.
Wow.
I don't have your money, but I am damn sure, just as happy. I agree with most of what you say, but I can't on the options. Everyone has them. Yes, Ty Malone, you definitely have options.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, he just sounds like a cool, great guy.
I
heard
that.
I heard that there are some women who are more attracted to
24 years married.
When you get married.
Have you? Okay, so are women hitting on you now that we're married, Boyce? Have you noticed?
Not hitting on me. What I notice a lot of classy women will do is they'll just try to get around. They'll try to just be around you.
Oh, they want to be around you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. All right, try as you must, but it ain't nothing going down with my man. Anyway, okay, shaking my head. How she help him become a billionaire?
What, Sabrina?
Yeah.
Savannah.
She looks like a Sabrina. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So OJ need money. That's what he's called. And he's saying, how she helped him become a billionaire by doing week at the supposed to be, I can't even read it because the English is so bad. Um, what else she do to help him become a billionaire? So without her, he would have just stopped. Y'all crazy.
Well, I don't think he would have stopped. I think that what would have happened is his life would probably be like distracted. Like when you're kind of out there and you got.
But I don't understand the question.
Well,
rephrase the question for me.
What he's saying is, are you saying that if she wasn't there, LeBron would never would have did all the stuff that he did? And I don't think they're saying that at all. I think that he still would have gone out and made money. He still would have been a great basketball player. But I think that having his spouse there allowed him a layer of protection and comfort that allowed him to raise healthy children, and also to notice LeBron is one of the few guys at his stature level that is scandal free. You can't really find any scandals on LeBron in the last decade, other than when people just randomly decided that they hated him for whatever reason. Like people would just decide they hate LeBron and nobody knows why. LeBron, hasn't really been caught up in much of anything. And I personally think if he was single, I think he would have probably had maybe a rape accusation by now or something like that. Because that's what it is. I mean, crazy things happen with these athletes.
Yeah,
you remember what happened with Kobe when Kobe was in Colorado back in 2004?
Yeah, I think OJ need money. You should listen to what some of the people in the chat listen to what they're. You should read what they're saying because we got Barbara Evans who's saying she kept him grounded. She kept him sane. She kept him. He's having a rough day, and instead of him going off the ledge, she was a nice, comfortable person who he could trust and he could love and he could understand. She could understand him, and he could just rest all of his burdens on her, and she's able to embrace that and help make him whole again after a bad day. He's doing a lot. He opened that school. He's inspired by her, and I think that's what I think Barbara is saying there. So I agree with you, Barbara.
You know what? I just had a thought about Kobe Bryant actually. When you talk about like just things that guys get caught up in when they get accused of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what made the difference for Kobe, where Kobe was able to come back from that accusation, that crazy thing in Colorado? The one thing I think that made the difference is you did not have other women who he slept with coming out and making a similar accusation. If Kobe had,
he tightened that up.
If he'd had one white woman somewhere,
one white woman with a tear that came out of her eye,
who came out and dropped the Becky tear at a press conference with that lady Gloria Allred. Is this where we get off for Chick-fil-A? Do you remember?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
We gotta keep going.
Yeah, if he'd had one white woman come out and say Kobe did it to me too, Kobe never would have came back from that, because at that point they would have defined him as a serial rapist, and no amount of proof, evidence, or whatever would have made a difference. So that Kobe got lucky. And I think about that when I connect that to LeBron, because I think that him having a spouse is a little bit of a buffer to some of that. Not completely, because remember for Cosby it wasn't a complete buffer, but Camille did all she could. If Cosby could have just kind of chilled out a little bit, it sounded like he was really getting around with a lot of women. But I think if he, let's say that instead of him, first of all, just think about that, right? When you see those pictures and you have like 30, 40 women accusing you of something, that means you slept with all those women, and then there's like hundreds more that are not in the picture. That's a lot of sex. That's a lot of people that are coming to you. A lot of people's energy, physical and spiritual. A lot of diseases. A lot of bad, just karma. Just all that mixed together. Like that's just a lot. I kind of think that's something I would have advised anybody against. I think that's what happens with celebrities, is they meet so many people that you just get attached to just one or two bad ones. They can ruin everything.
Yeah, that is. I don't know how she deals with it. I don't know how Camille deals with it. Okay. There was someone else that made a comment that I thought, Lou Rose up here. I like what she had to say. He or she had. Lou was probably, I don't know what gender that is. But this comment was, she never gave LeBron problems. She's talking about LeBron. And been there since high school as a teenager. No one ever knew about LeBron's wife if he hadn't said so.
That's true too. That makes a difference.
That's a very good one. So let's see what else the comments. Being married with children and you're the most famous person on the earth and giving people their flowers now is God's protection. Thank you, Lou Rose. Another comment from the same person. Very good.
Yeah, I can dig that.
Yeah, okay. People forgot about his team and team leadership betraying him with his mom's scandal. Oh my God, that's right.
Oh, with his mama.
Oh my goodness. Savannah was there.
His mama was out there, wasn't she?
Oh boy.
Hey, buddy. This is where I get off.
No. You got to keep going. We got quite a bit before we have to get off.
But yeah. LeBron's mama was very interesting, and she dated that guy that played with him.
Oh, jeez.
She dated his teammate, and that's the teammate that ended up on drugs.
Really?
Yeah. He's that poor guy's out there in the streets. It's kind of sad. But anyway, well, I think I say we go ahead and bounce one out.
Yeah.
We enjoyed talking to you guys, and
this was fun.
Hit the thumbs up button, and you can follow Alicia. You can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com if you want to take a look at what she does, and also you can follow her on Instagram at coachingwithdralicia.
Is it in here?
Here, I'll do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. All right. So let me see here. I always mess it up. Let me see. So it was fun talking to you guys, and here's Alicia's website. It's on the screen, so if you want to go take a look, you can go right there. So we're about to get out of here, guys. I'm about to run a half marathon tomorrow, or maybe a 5K.
You can do a 5K. You're still a good man to me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll make a game time decision. So y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. So love you guys. See you soon. Peace.